What's going on, everyone? So LeBron James is clearly fed up. LeBron James is now taking shots at essentially the front office. Not, it's LeBron, so it's not like, go make a trade. I'm tired of this, Rob Pelinka. No, it's like, getting asked questions in an interview, and he's constantly like, the way the roster is constructed, the way that this roster is constructed, we have to play perfect. We don't have margin for error, right? Oh, that's the way that he had like a whole interview after last night against the Clippers, and it was like the answer to everything was like the way the roster is constructed right now. LeBron doesn't do anything unless it's thought out and calculated, right? Like, when do you ever see him just spew something out, right? There's always a purpose. LeBron's done this a million times where he starts, okay, getting closer to trade deadline. Yeah, you got Dorian Finney-Smith, but we need some other stuff. Come on, chop chop type thing. And look, I don't blame him. I mean, we all were saying the same thing, right? We're all screaming like, dude, get trades, tear it down, do something. I'd rather you, like, people, what about, what depth? People are like, like when I talk about Zach LaVine, I always get like, well, the Lakers' depth. The Lakers are the worst bench in the league. What depth? Depth matters when it's good. Depth matters when it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. Depth is irrelevant when guys don't show up to play basketball. Go get and make a play. Go make a splash. I've talked about like, you want to get 4 or 5 guys, but you're going to rehaul the whole roster. Who cares? This roster's terrible, right? So like what's the difference? Just because what? We all have players that we like on the roster. I have players that I like on this roster. But guess what? I am a Laker fan. Lakers first. My players and personal preference and stuff second. I want the Lakers to be the best, right? If that means trading a player that I am super high on, Max Christie. I want Max Christie to be the 2 guard for now and the future. But I said kind of the backup. But if tomorrow he had to be traded to make this roster be that much better to where we have the chance to win an NBA championship, by Max Christie, really appreciate you. I'll be rooting for you wherever you go, right? Like, I don't care. There's so many people like, you can't trade Austin Reeves. You can't trade Rui Hachimura. You trade all of them if you can. You don't just, I'm not saying you trade them for a bag of chips. I'm not saying you trade Austin Reeves for Colin Sexton or something like that. But if you can turn Austin Reeves into a DeJounte Murray, you do it. If you could turn, Rui Hachimura and, these other, like, random guys into Zach LaVine, you do it, right? Like, if you can find ways to upgrade this roster, you do it. Nobody is untouchable, right? Now, are there guys that you're trying to trade first? Sure. Right? Like, is there a scale in which you're trying to trade guys and get rid of guys? Sure. Right? Because if you can pull off X, Y, and Z trade and you can still keep an Austin Reeves or you can still keep a Max Christie or you can still keep a Vando or whatever, then sure. But again, no one on this roster is not good enough to where people should be untouchable. Right? Like, this roster isn't good enough to where it's like, well, even Dalton Connect, I've said, if I could get Walker Kessler tomorrow, bye, Dalton. I really like you. I'm rooting for you. Same thing. I'm super high, super stoked on him. I know he's having a little bit of a, little tough stretch and stint and stuff. He'll be fine. He's a rookie. He'll figure it out, right? Like, I'm still very high on Dalton Connect. But if I could get Walker Kessler, I'm trading for Walker Kessler tomorrow, right? Like today, this time an hour ago. Right? Like, this roster isn't good enough to be untouchable. And I keep hearing people like, this guy can't be traded and that guy can't be traded. Why? Right? Like, again, if you can find the right pieces, right? If you can make it work and still keep those guys, then fine, right? Like, if you can go get the, 2 or 3 pieces and still keep Austin Reeves, then fine. Go get those 2 or 3 pieces, keep Austin Reeves, right? If you could do those 2 or 3 pieces, keep Rui Hachimura, then fine. Keep Rui Hachimura, get those pieces. Point is, but the thing is that the Lakers, you have to trade something to get something, right? And it's just, there's even LeBron, right? As great, and LeBron's been great this year, don't get me wrong. But if Jokic was available tomorrow, would you trade LeBron James? If Victor Wembanyama, if for whatever reason the Spurs were like, hey, we'll trade Wemby for LeBron, you wouldn't do that? Anthony Davis, if tomorrow Jokic became available and you could trade Jokic for Anthony Davis, would you not do that? Of Wemby, would you not do that? I mean, even like a Giannis, would you not do that? So if our superstars aren't untradeable, our role players surely aren't untradeable, right? And, LeBron James is out here essentially alluded to that, right? LeBron James, again, he's never going to be like, trade these bums, right? Like Kobe's, I'm playing it in my head, right? Like Kobe when he goes in the locker room and he's like, I just came to visit all you bums that are about to be traded or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but, LeBron's definitely not that guy, right? That Kobe that's walking in, kicking the door and going like, goodbye, all you bums, right? But LeBron is definitely, he's one of those guys that he makes it known, right? Like, that was that is the most, hey, go make a trade and get this done now. He's done in a long time, right? Like, he's been actually pretty, patient, more so than he has been in previous times. But this was clear. Like, yesterday, watching that interview, that was clear as day. Like, I'm sick of this, right? Like, I'm only getting older. I'm getting worn out, man. Like, I'm over here leading the team and scoring every night, and we're still getting smacked. Like, we're scoring 102 points. Like, go get me some help. Look, I still think you go get Zach LaVine. I still think you go get some of the, a Brandon Ingram. Go get a bucket getter, right? Go get somebody that can put the ball in the hoop. Take pressure off of LeBron James. Take pressure off Anthony Davis, right? Austin Reeves is too inconsistent. Austin Reeves fans, where's the defense of your boy? Drops 38, then gives you nothing. Takes 6 attempts. Wasn't aggressive. Struggled handling ball pressure. 5 turnovers. Doing it against bad teams. Got the Brooklyn Nets, who you can't even name 5 players on the basketball court outside of Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell. But, Austin Reeves dropped 38, which is great, right? Dropping 38 is 38. I don't care who it is. On a high school team, 38 is 38. But, again, my issue with him is inconsistencies. What do I keep talking about? He'll give you 38 one game, and then I'll have 3 or 4 games where he's giving you 10, or 12, or 14 on 6 attempts, stuff like that, right? Like, it's just, there's not the consistency from him. He needs to stay in attack mode. He's not a third option. Again, I like Austin Reeves. I think Austin Reeves is great. But not as your third option. Not as, the guy you're relying on to be your bucket getter every night. If he's your 4th, 5th option, then sure, you're probably in really good shape. But him as your third option, you're in trouble. Unless the Lakers really round out the pieces necessary to put them over the hump. Otherwise, again, you're in trouble. And I look at this team, and it's like, Rui Hachimura, got to get rid of him. And Rui actually had a solid game last night. Got to get rid of him. Can't defend. He's out of position. I like Rui, but Dorian Finney-Smith needs to start. And as long as Rui's on this team, I mean, maybe after the trade deadline, if Rui was still on this team, maybe they'd do it. Because I do think part of it is just, Rob Pelinka's like, hey, don't bench Rui yet. I'm trying to work on trades here, because the last thing you want to do is bench a guy, and now he's playing 15 minutes, and you're like, but again, Rui, I like Rui a ton. Seriously, I like Rui. I think he would be great if he got to play the power forward, right? Problem is, he's just never going to do that. And even after LeBron, in the post-LeBron era, guess what? Anthony Davis is probably sliding over to the 4, so he's still not going to get to play the 4. So trade Rui, right? The closest thing to guys that should be completely not untouchable, but the pecking order is, obviously LeBron James, Anthony Davis. And then for me, it would be Max Christie. Not because, again, I think he's untradeable, but because he's one of our few two-way guys. Dorian Finney-Smith, you can't even trade, so I'm not going to put him on that list. But literally, Max Christie is one of our few two-way guys, and he's actually been very good for the Lakers this year. I just don't think him as your starter is ideal. If you could have him as your bench guy, now I think you're talking. Now I think you're cooking. But yeah, Max Christie, and then outside of that, and Dorian Finney-Smith again, because you can't measure that. Outside of that, I think it's, Austin Reeves probably again, you don't trade him unless it's for a deal that makes sense, and then everyone else, so on and so forth, right? This team isn't good enough to be talking about this guy and that guy should be untouchable, right? Like Austin Reeves isn't so good that he's untouchable, right? He's not this superstar. He's not this all-star. Oh, that's the guy. We're winning championships with him, after LeBron and A. Dude, that guy would be a fifth, sixth man on every other team. I've talked about this. What championship contender? I'm not talking about like middle of the pack team, terrible team, like, the Wizards he'd probably start on, whatever, right? I'm talking about like which one of these like top 7 teams in the league would he actually start on? Not even be the third option. I'm talking about just start on. Which team would that be? Because you ain't starting on Boston or Cleveland or OKC. He's not starting in Memphis or any of these other places, right? He's the 6th man on all these teams, right? So, again, but he's our 3rd guy. Okay, fine. If you want him to be your 3rd guy, Lakers, that's the guy that they're leaning into, fine, so be it. Then you need to get the pieces that can complement that. You need to get the right pieces that you can put around alongside Reeves, LeBron, and AD. Those 3 are if that's your main offense, you need to get some other guys. You need to move Dorian Finney-Smith into the 3, starting 3, and then now because again, like Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup, it's not like we're scoring enough points to justify it, right? At least Dorian Finney-Smith gives you the hustle, plays the dirty work. I mean, when Jared Vanderbilt comes back, I mean, maybe not immediate because you need him to get right. I wouldn't even hate just throwing him in the starting unit and just go Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Like, I wouldn't hate that at all. And just have the defensive stoppers, right? And trust LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves. Just start games. It's just to start. You could always trickle things out. Or, okay, we need more offense. Put in Rui, whatever. But then you make a trade. And LeBron's clearly tired. LeBron's clearly like, all right, I'm sick of this. Get a trade done. Get something done. But anyway, sorry. I know this was like a little all over the place. This video wasn't as like well-paced as they usually are. Just frustrated, man. It's like, come on. It is. It's very frustrating. And even LeBron's like, all right, like, we're tired of this. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my rants and my frustrations? Like I said, I know this probably wasn't the most coherent video, but still, I'm sure I got the point across. But however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.